guys, today I'm just going to show you guys like what supplies basically you need to build above the garden plant, above the ground planters. So here I will start with the wood. So basically depending on what your requirements are, I went with the 12 foot long wood. So these are 2 by 6 and 12 foot. So I use like 1, 2, 3 and 4. Don't go higher than basically 4 because then it will be too high unless you basically specifically prefer that kind of design. I wanted to go only with 3, but the reason I went with 4, if you can see, my ground is sloping this way, so I built this one first over here, which has only 3. You can see it has only 3, but in order to have the same level, then I had to basically put in one more in this one, because otherwise it would have been over here if I had used only 3. Somewhere over here, which would not look good. So that's why I put in 4 over here, but here you can see it is 3 primarily, and this was just to this is actually a 2 by 4 which I just put it here to cover the little gap in the ground, and it has been cut over here. So I'm planning to basically put in little gravel, and then on top of that some soil, so that the grass can grow here, and it will be basically you won't see any gap over here. So now these are the and another thing which I want to say is, like, depending on your preference, you may also go with just 2 by 12 rather than 2 by 6. So which means that there will be one board which is like this long, and then just on top of that you can add another 6 inches of board, 2 by 6 by 12. So in fact I have done the same thing in behind it, because there was no need for me to go with this kind of design. It's more on the basically it's facing towards me, which I want to see, and the other part is covered by the fence, so that's why I didn't basically go ahead, basically went with the same pattern behind. Other side I just went with basically 2 by 12, and then basically another 2 by 6, and then there is some gap which is basically covered by the landscaping fabric or the dirt. So in terms of supplies, what you need is another piece of the wood which you need is 4 by 4s, because you have to basically connect these two together. And now in order to connect it, you have two options. One is economical and another is pretty expensive. The economical one is like you can use the deck screws, and I will shortly cover what kind of screws I used. And another expensive option is, which is going to look good, is basically using a bolt for each of these boards. And these boards are quite expensive. They are like I believe $2.50 or something like that, because you need at least so this is 1.5 inch and this is 3.5 inch, so you need at least I would say 6 inches long bolt. So I'll shortly cover like why I put in the bolt over there, but let's first cover the supply. So to anchor basically board to the 4 by 4s, you need 3.5 inch screws, and go for the deck screws. So there are 2 colors in this which are available in Home Depot. I use the yellow one because that color goes basically I like a personal preference, so I like this color rather than the green color, and it's not usually not, it basically mingles with the board color, so that's why I use this one. So here I use the 3.5 inch screws when you are anchoring a board into basically 4 by 4 inch board. But when you are basically putting the support, which I had covered in the last video, if you are interested, you can see here you can see that I have a 2 by 12. So for this one you don't need the 3.5 inches, though you can use it, but I used 2.5 inches. So for connecting this board to the basically 2 by 4, again there is a support basically between these two, so that the wood does not bulge out. These details I have covered in the basically in the previous video, so you can check out that. So another tool you need is like any good drill. So I am using Diebold like this, but you can go ahead with any good drill. And you need a shovel because you will be doing some digging. So here you can see like I dug a little bit, and even these 4 by 4s I had to dug the dirt under their legs because I wanted to make these level. So that's why you definitely need the shovel. And this is another tool, I don't know what is it called, but this becomes very handy when you are in tight spots and you have to dig in small amounts or in tight spots, so then you can use basically this kind of tool. And I also use the jigsaw. You might be wondering why I use the jigsaw. So as you can see, I have some trees along the fence over here, and some of the roots were pretty shallow, they were not deep inside the ground. So when I was digging, some of these roots were coming under the basically these 4x4s or even under this. So in those places what I had to do is I had to cut the root. So it becomes very easy basically with the jigsaw. It saves a lot of work. You can also use basically any kind of saw to cut it, but I use this so that it makes the life easy. And again, this tool is I think nowadays the prices have gone up, but earlier they used to be like, this is from Walmart, Hypertough, and it serves my purpose. Basically I'm not so much like using these tools all the time, so I use this one, so it is pretty good, so it saved me a lot of time in doing this work. So another thing which you need is like any kind of circular saw. So again, I have the DeWalt because once I decided to buy it, I decided to buy the good one rather than any cheap one. But again, it's your preference. And sometimes these go on sale, by the way. So the next thing is basically you have to use the landscaping fabric. Again, I will tell you like what is the advantage of the landscaping fabric. Is the very first advantage is when you put the landscaping fabric, you can see that there are gaps in the wood. No matter how tight these are, like there will be some gap, it may be in few millimeters or maybe less than a millimeter. So eventually what is going to happen when you water the plants or when it rains, the dirt can seep into these gaps. So in order to avoid that, it's better to basically put this kind of landscaping fabric. And in each box I have put it like this. It goes around the box, basically around the circumference of the box. So yeah, another thing which I think I didn't cover is like you also need a square, and basically to make the perfect 90-degree cuts on the wood if you have to cut it, because I cut some couple of 2x4s. And here are the bolts. So coming to the bolt side, you can see that I have put in one bolt over here. So the reason I put in this bolt is let me show you something. Okay, if you can see over here, this wood is wrapped, it's going outward. So no matter how many screws you put in, it's never gonna be straight. And this wrapping happens like, although I checked it once I bought it from the Home Depot, but since it was in the yard for a few days before I did the project, it wrapped a little bit. So here it was also wrapping, which I did not like because it was facing towards me, and by the way that is towards the fence, the one that I just showed you. So in order to basically fix that wrap, what you have to do is like drill a hole. So this is 3x8 inch screws. Again, you have to buy the longer screws. I think I might have the longer screw over here. Yeah, here I have. So these are the leftovers which I have to return. So you drill a hole, and after drilling a hole you put it and then tighten it. Of course you can basically, instead of the screws, as I said, you can use the bolts all around, but that is going to make it look even better, but at the same time it's pretty expensive. So as I was saying over here about this wrap, no matter how you about this wrap and twist in the wood, no matter how many screws you put in, it will not go away unless you use a bolt. And if you put too many screws, you can basically even split up your wood. Sometimes it basically, if you put in too many screws, it can split up. So if you come across that kind of situation, then you can basically use the bolt to fix it up. And now the one thing I want to cover is like, once you are putting the, of course you need a wheelbarrow if you want to basically put in the dirt. And as you can see, like you have lot, if you are planning to do like this kind of length, it's good to have a wheelbarrow to put in the dirt, move the dirt. So when you are moving the dirt, one piece of advice is that you can build a makeshift ramp to dump the dirt. So again, this is a step stool. If you are planning to use a step stool, make sure it can support the weight of this plant. your weight and basically whatever weight you are carrying in the wheel well, because if it doesn't, it will basically crack or it will break, and then it can cause you injury. So please be very careful, like if you are planning to. But I use this makeshift frame to basically put in the dirt in all these plants. And another piece which I want to cover is, I have not done that yet because I was pretty late in the season, so I lost 1 month of the season, and I was in a hurry to basically finish the planters and plant some of the herbs and the vegetables. But eventually I will do this. So in order to cover this basically seams, so what you can do is, like, you can use a 2x6 and you can cut it from here, stain it. As I said, I think it is not stained. Maybe I have the stain over here. Yeah, here is the one that has been stained basically with the oil, the same way the others has been done. So I'll wash, then basically I'll put it over here to make it even better. So this will go over here in all the seams, like where the two birds are connecting. So you can basically put in that to make it visually even more nice, and even in the corner. So thanks for watching, and I'll share my next video about the growth of the plants. So thank you very much.